The 2019 Subaru Ascent has a base MSRP of just over $30,000. Now this one has been specified with the upgraded premium trim level, which places it right under $40,000, but it's still in the perfect place to compete with cars like the Honda Pilot and the Kia Telluride. So in today's video, I'm gonna give the ultimate comparison for you guys to help you know if the Ascent is the right car for you. I'm gonna walk you around not only the exterior features and the powertrain and performance specs, but also that incredibly important interior, as well as the different technologies associated with it and the different trim levels and options you can have it with. So this is really gonna be the ultimate tour and review of the Ascent, so let's get right into it. We're gonna start out today's review in the interior of the Ascent because obviously this is the most important part of the car where you're gonna be spending most of your time if you buy one. And if you've seen my previous reviews on Subarus, you're not gonna be surprised that the first thing I'm gonna talk about is the build quality, because when I reviewed both the WRX and the new Subaru Legacy, the build quality was my main issue with both of those cars. I felt like Subaru really didn't put this interior together well enough to compare it to Honda or Kia. But here at the 2019 Ascent, they've actually improved quite a bit. I'm really impressed by the level of quality they put into the materials here around the center console area and on the door panel and the seats, and really everywhere you're going to be touching regularly in this car. They did a great job piecing it all together. The panel gaps have improved a lot, and things don't shuffle around quite as much as they used to, which is a really, really good thing. They've really reduced the amount of creaks and rattles in this interior. They've also added a ton of really cool standard features like these standard cloth seats. In the base model, they are 6-way manually adjustable, but here in the upgraded premium, you do have 8-way power adjustments, so that's a really nice convenient feature to have. Along the center console area, you've also got a variety of different technology that we're going to get to in a minute, including a 12-volt power outlet, an auxiliary jack, and 2 USB charge ports. Something else you're also going to notice down there is a button labeled X mode. And X mode definitely sounds pretty exciting, and when I looked it up over on the Subaru website, it is pretty exciting because it's technically the off-road mode for this car. That's right, as you can see when we hop on the exterior, this car is actually pretty well equipped to go off-roading. And that X mode button is going to combine both the all-wheel drive system this car has, as well as the hill descent control that this car has, to give you a really cool and easy off-road experience. So that is a great button to have. And other things on the center console area include the electronic parking brake, the somewhat leather-wrapped gear selector. I say somewhat because it is a faux leather that's not the highest quality I've ever seen, and 2 cup holders. And we might want to take a bit of a closer look here at these cup holders because you'll see that they kind of have a slope design where the rear one is higher up than the front one. And this is to allow liquids you might spill in there to flow down to the bottom section where they have a drain so that the fluids can just drip right out of your car. I think either it drips right out of your car or it just collects there under the center console area. I wasn't able to check. Either way, there is a hole at the bottom of the cup holder for fluids to go into. Whether that's good or bad, I honestly don't know. But the real reason I pointed these cup holders out is because they are 2 of 19 in this interior. That's right, Subaru crammed in literally as many cup holders as physically possible. Despite the fact that the car can only seat up to 8 passengers, they've included 19 cup holders. By my math, that means everyone can have more than 2 drinks. That's a lot of drinks. Remember kids, don't drink and drive, but if you want to, there are 19 cup holders for you to do so. Other storage space includes this very large center armrest box that obviously can open up to reveal a change drawer, a little pad for your phone, as well as a very deep storage box. Obviously, you also have a standard glove box as well as an odd-looking shelf right above this trim piece, which acts as a nice segue into the next segment of this review, the trim pieces. And I have to say, these trim pieces really aren't doing it for me here in the 2019 Ascent. They kind of went for a fake carbon design, but then they went tan and really enlarged the pattern on it. So now we're kind of left with these sort of odd-shaped random plastic pieces throughout the interior that really don't match anything else in this interior. And one could say, yeah, they provide a nice bit of contrast, but to me, well, they're just ugly. But look past those fake carbon trim pieces and the rest of the design here in the interior is great. You have 2 analog style gauges there on the gauge cluster. You have a very nice 3-spoke Subaru steering wheel that is both sporty and comfortable at the same time. And everything is laid out fairly well in terms of ergonomics. As I might have mentioned earlier in this review, the Ascent is available with 2 different options for the infotainment system. The base model only gets a 6.5-inch screen, whereas here in the upgraded premium model, we get an 8-inch touchscreen that is called the Subaru Starlink infotainment system. And honestly, I am not that impressed with it. You can swipe or tap like a regular smartphone or use these home and radio buttons down here to control it, but it's really not that great. There's a little bit of lag and this touchscreen is not sensitive, especially when swiping back and forth. But it's not terrible, it's definitely not the worst I've seen, so let's get right into it. Here on the home screen, you can see all the different apps associated with the car that you can use in the infotainment system, whether it's the My Subaru, or the media, or the radio, or the different settings associated with the car. But this is honestly not what you're going to be looking at most of the time, because the Ascent comes standard with both Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Bluetooth connectivity. So if you want to connect your phone to this car, you just tap here on the phone icon, and then go through the whole system and connect your phone. And then when you go to the home screen of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, depending on what phone you have, you're going to see all the apps you have on your phone displayed here on the screen in the car. So it's great that most modern cars are coming with that, especially as standard here in the Ascent. But that's something you also get over at Kia or Honda as well, so just keep that in mind. Now, what I really like about this system is that if you don't want to use the touchscreen, you have these really easy to get to buttons right here below it. But unfortunately, they feel kind of cheap and are not very pleasant to touch. It's really cheap plastic that you really don't want to be messing with that often. And you might have already noticed, but this is not the only screen you get in the Ascent, because there's also a very low resolution screen down here for the climate controls. And then up way far over there on the dashboard, you have a variety of different, informational things that can be shown about the car. You can cycle through that by pressing this info button here, whether you want to see, your fuel economy, how long you can go before filling up, or just the temperature. In fact, it's 94 degrees here in Florida, so I'm going to crank that AC up. That really helps you out when you're trying to find a bunch of different information, on the go when you're driving. And finally, there is one more screen between the two analog style gauges that shows even more information that you might need to access while driving. So overall, I would say this system is on par with Honda, but not quite as good as the Kia Telluride. So it's kind of par for the course for this segment. Now, there is one last screen for the climate controls here in the second row of the Ascent, but obviously it's the second row. So the technology isn't going to be nearly as important as things like legroom and headroom. So I'm very pleased to say that even with the front seat moved almost all the way back, there is still plenty of legroom here in the second row of the Ascent. And since the seats have a very similar design to the front row, they are very comfortable as well. Now, this model has the standard bench seat, but if you prefer, you can opt to have second row captain's chairs put in here, which will eliminate this middle seat here, but give you much more comfortable second row seats, as well as, armrests that fold down and just a variety of really cool features that help improve the quality of this interior. But you also have two USB charge ports, as well as an available 12-volt power outlet. And all around, that makes the second row a fairly comfortable place to be. Certainly a lot more comfortable than the third row. So if you want to fold down these second row seats, you'll find that the third row is not nearly as comfortable or as spacious as the second, and it's almost borderline unusable, which to me is a big deal, because the Ascent is obviously a huge SUV. You want all that interior cargo and passenger space, and it's just a little bit lacking in the third row in terms of not only the design of the seats and the comfort and luxury items, but just general space. So like I said, the Kia Telluride is a better buy in my opinion, or even a Honda Pilot. And a lot of that goes back to the space in the third row. But if that's not important to you, the second row and front row seats are very, very good. But that pretty much covers everything in the interior of the 2019 Ascent. So let's hop out to the exterior, where you might be surprised by the level of features Subaru has added. Let's go check it out. So the exterior features for the 2019 Ascent are going to begin up here in the front fascia of the car, where obviously we start things off with this gorgeous kind of hexagon style Subaru grille, very similar to all the other models in their lineup, so it creates a uniform look across the entire brand. When you see the front end of this car, you immediately know that you're looking at a Subaru. You also get just a ton of chrome highlights all along the front fascia here along that Subaru grille, but also down here by these lower vents, which are the first thing I'm going to complain about, because as beautiful as these vents look, they are fake. They don't suck in any air whatsoever. Usually those would be there to help cool the brakes, but here they're all fake matte black plastic and really don't serve any purpose whatsoever. But they do look very nice and kind of tie in the design with these standard halogen headlamps that are available to upgrade as LEDs if you want extra nighttime visibility on your Ascent. Now, on the side of the car, we have a couple more features. This model is the premium model, so it gets upgraded side mirrors with body colored panels over top, as well as available 18 or 20-inch wheels. And I definitely like the style on these. They're pretty basic, but they also tie in with the rest of the design on this car and those matte black mudguards you get all around. Now, the rear design of the Ascent has a much more interesting design than the side or the front, and to me, it's not necessarily pleasing. It reminds me a little bit of a Ford, especially with these odd-shaped taillights and the chrome bar all the way across. And I really am not a big fan of all this matte plastic down here. It almost looks like they weren't entirely sure what to put there, so they just slapped a big hunk of plastic there. But you know, it might be overall pleasing if you kind of squint, because it does come with cool features like dual chrome exhaust tips and a standard power liftgate, which I will open up now. Now, what's great about this liftgate, not only is it power operated from the key or the button right under the hatch, like I just showed there, but it's also cool because you can set how high you want it to open up. So I believe this is the maximum height it will open up to, right around 6 feet it looks like. But if you want to set a little bit lower, maybe you park your car in a low garage, you can go in the interior and press a button that will set exactly where you want it to open up to. So say you only want it to come this high, you can control all of that from the interior. And as you can see, it comes with a decent amount of room as well, but if it's not enough for you, you can also fold down the third row seats for a little bit of extra storage. Now, unfortunately, there is not nearly as much to see under the hood of the Ascent as there is all around the exterior, but that's only because of the level of technology they've packed under here. Most of it is just covered up with this top-mounted intercooler, but that provides a nice segue into the main feature of this engine and the reason that they can put in a top-mounted intercooler here. It's because this car comes with a Boxer configuration. It's powered by a 2.4-liter turbocharged Boxer 4-cylinder engine. And Boxer 4 just means that rather than going up and down, the cylinders go at each other side to side. This is a very common Subaru configuration. It's used in several Porsches as well, and it's supposed to make the engine run a lot smoother and more efficient, but it also allows the engine to sit a lot lower down. So you can see there's a lot of space here, not only for that top-mounted intercooler, but also this enormous hood scoop. So with this Boxer 4 setup, the Ascent should produce 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, and get a combined 27 mpg. And an upgraded trims like this should also have a 5,000 pound towing capacity, which is pretty impressive. Make sure to check out my reviews of both the Honda Pilot and the Kia Telluride by clicking on one of the video cards right there. And special thanks to Fitzgerald Subaru of Countryside for allowing me to review this Ascent today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a thumbs up, comment your thoughts on the Ascent down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching.